Hi, everybody. Back on the Triple Play podcast. I'm Colby. That's Nick. I don't know which side we're on, so I can't really say.
On mine, I'm on the right and you're on the left.
All right. But anyway, make sure that you hit like down below on the video. Make sure you hit subscribe. Those are the things that help us out most. Comment down below. Ask us why CJ's not here. That's what everybody needs to be asking in the comments. Ask CJ why he was not on the podcast. Okay. Every time CJ's not on here, I want everybody to spam the comments. Why is CJ not here?
Yes.
But today we're going to be talking about awards. We're going to give you guys a couple predictions for the main awards for the MLB season. We're going to try to get a lot of people covered and everything. When it comes down to Silver Slugger, I think we're only going to cover one guy a piece, but that's a lot of positions to cover. So, Nick, if you want to get us started, NL, AL.
We can go AL or NL. We've started with the NL East every time, so we don't screw up the mojo.
Might as well start out with the NL
then. All right. And my 1, 2, and 3 in the MVP, I have Paul Goldschmidt from the Cardinals, Austin Riley from the Braves, and Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals as well.
And we talked about Paul Goldschmidt and Austin Riley. I feel like that's who everybody's talking about.
I think that's everyone's clear 1 and 2 right now. It's just kind of whoever has the best last 2 months is probably gonna. Exactly. If Riley goes crazy for the next 2 months and the Braves end up coming from behind and winning that division, I'd say it probably goes to him before Goldschmidt, even if Goldschmidt may have better stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you go down the list with Goldschmidt, he's top 5 in batting average, top 5 in home runs, top 5 in RBIs, top 5 in hits. The only thing the guy can't do is steal bases.
It's like he's a first baseman. You don't care if he can steal bases or not.
No, absolutely not. You want a guy over at the corner that is going to drive in runs, and he's going to do it with a big stick. And Goldschmidt has had that all year. I don't think you can't point at a month and be like, oh, Goldschmidt was bad this month.
Oh, exactly.
And that's
it seems like all year he's had a batting average at 320 or higher and OPS over 1,000, and that's MVP year. You can't. And Goldschmidt's been close quite a few times. He finished second place 2 or 3 times in his career already. And barring anything crazy, it's probably going to be the year he finally gets one, I think.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say this, and then we'll move on to Austin Riley, but his stats to me almost mirror 2 years ago Marcell Ozuna, when Marcell Ozuna didn't win because Freddie Freeman was just right above that. So
Ozuna almost won the Triple Crown that year, man. He was third in batting average, led the league in home runs and RBIs.
That's what you see with Goldschmidt. He's a guy he's going to hit for a high average. He's going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's going to have a lot of RBIs.
Yeah, he's just that kind of guy. He's a 3 or 4 hole hitter in every single lineup in baseball.
Yep. So you want to start out with your boy, Austin?
I don't know if I can go too crazy in depth with him. He's been – I don't even know what word could describe how good he's been the last 2 months.
Yeah.
I feel like he's raised his RBI, home run, and double count by like 3 times what they were 2 months ago. It just feels that way because he's just been so good. And it seems like every night he's driving, he's getting that big hit. He's getting that big double in the gap to score 2 and give us the lead. It seems like every night he's the guy that's doing it. And he's
the hottest hitter in baseball right now.
Oh, right now probably, yeah, for sure.
So it's not an award of what have you done for me lately, but I'm telling you, if he continues this through the end of the season, gets ahead of Goldschmidt in a couple categories, it's definitely going to be something worth talking about.
The biggest stat for me that's going to hurt Riley is Goldschmidt's on base is probably about 70 or 80 points higher than Austin Riley's is.
Yeah.
Now, Austin Riley may have a higher slug. I know about a week ago I looked and he had like a 2 points higher slugging than Goldschmidt did to have the highest slugging in the NL. Yeah. But that's why Goldie's OPS is so much higher. It's just because his on base is way higher. Just because he walks so much. And Riley gets a ton of hits, but Goldschmidt gets a ton of hits and a ton of walks, which is extremely impressive. He's a very disciplined, very, very disciplined hitter.
Yeah. So who was your third guy in the MVP race there?
I had Arenado, and I do want to give a shout out to Freddie because I think he would have been my 3 had Arenado not gone just Captain Insano for the last 2 weeks,
Yep.
I
And
mean,
Freddie leads
he has
the
been
MLB in hits.
carrying that Cardinals offense for the past two. It's the first time in probably, I don't know, since the first week that I've heard Nolan Arenado's name come up before Paul Goldschmidt's in a conversation about the Cardinals. Like it's
that first month, I know it was, Arenado and J Ram were really putting on shows at third base. That first month especially too. So, if I was just mentioning the guys that I thought for sure had a chance, had an outside shot here, I would talk about Arenado, talk about Freddie Freeman, and the most hits in baseball right now and stuff like that. And we were talking before the podcast. I put an outside guy of Trey Turner. He's top 5 in batting average, top 5 in RBIs, top 5 in hits, steals bases. He's a true 5-tool guy, but he hasn't hit the home runs this year that he's hit in years past.
Yeah.
I feel like if I don't think he's a top 5 in baseball home run guy ever or anything, and that's usually what you get out of the MVP guy, somebody that can hit, quite a few home runs. But if he was to catch fire and sneak more over one year, I think he's a guy that could win it in the future.
Oh, for sure. I think there's probably a year that Trey Turner probably bats 360 because he beats out 15 extra infield hits throughout a year.
Yeah.
And he'll probably hit 30 home runs in that year and drive in. If he's still in the Dodgers lineup batting 3-hole, he'll probably drive in 130.
Exactly. So do you want to jump to AL MVP or do you want to keep going down the NL with Cy Young?
I say we go straight down the NL.
Okay.
But we probably won't have the time to go quite as in depth as we just did with those three guys.
No, definitely not. I feel like the AL gets the lower end sometimes with us, but we watch the NL more. So I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Cy Young, I think we both have Sandy as our number one.
Yeah, I had Sandy as my number one.
He's leading the league in ERA. He's leading the league in quality starts. I don't think he's top 5 in strikeouts. There's not much bad you can say about the guy.
Yeah.
On a team that's not spectacular.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Marlins are not a great team, but Sandy, I mean, he's something to watch, If you look through his start to start, it's interesting to see how different his starts are based on the team he's facing. Because I saw a string of three straight starts. He went 8 innings, 9 innings, and 8 innings. He had 4 strikeouts, 14 strikeouts, and 6 strikeouts.
Yep.
But he still didn't give up any hits or any runs. It's just he can get you out in so many ways. He has that big, hard, heavy sinker. I mean, if you can turn on it, you might crush it because it doesn't have a ton of break like we've seen with people like Corey Kluber in the past that have just wicked sinkers. But it's a 100-mile-an-hour sinker. It's 100 with extreme movement. Like it's hard to hit.
And I think the only thing that I worry about with a guy like him is you're on a team that's not going to make the playoffs. And toward the end of the season, we've seen teams like that shut down their main guy before.
Yeah.
So maybe the last couple of weeks we don't see Sandy or something. But I just think his numbers are just far and away just the best.
Yeah, he's just too good at this moment.
The only guy, and he was my number 2 guy, the only guy that I could see competing with him, and that's just because he leads the league in strikeouts, and that's Corbin Burns.
Corbin Burns is probably my clear second place. And then, last year he was my clear first place. I thought that he deserved it over Scherzer or Wheeler, and he ended up winning it. But I think it's the same way I feel this year. I don't really think there's an argument against Sandy. Just like last year, I didn't think there was an argument against Corbin Burns.
Exactly. And then, for my third guy, I went with another outside guy, a guy that I felt like we heard a lot about before the All-Star break. And then now we're not hearing much about him because he's not had that dominant factor, and that's Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
He's been a big guy for a big team in the absence of Bueller, and then now they're down Kershaw. I mean, you hope that he recaptures some of that first half magic because they're going to need him, in this push for the
big time,
obviously. So you want him in that, especially you're getting in the first round of the playoffs, and you want a guy like that to lock up a game 3 or a game 4.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I had Joe Musgrove at my 3. I love Joe Musgrove. I really wish the Braves would have tried to take a chance on him, but getting a San Diego kid out of San Diego was probably going to be a tougher task than, he's going to require a lot
That
more work.
elevates his game too.
Do what?
That elevates his game, being a San Diego guy in San Diego. So
I think it does, absolutely.
We'll go to Rookie of the Year. I think we both have the same 1 and 2. Listen, nobody can say we're homers. These two guys have been the guys.
If these two guys aren't your clear cut 1 and 2s in your Rookie of the Year, you are biased. That's how bad it is.
I think when you look at a guy like, and I'm going to talk about number 2 first. You look at a guy like Michael Harris. I think any other year besides this year, he wins it. Because I feel like we see rookie hitters have more success than rookie pitchers, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. But I mean, look back at recent years. If he put his same stat line up, last year he probably does beat Jonathan India out for Rookie of the Year. But in 2020, that year probably doesn't beat out Devin Williams, because if Alec Baum's year doesn't beat it out, I don't know that Michael Harris's year would beat it out. And then 19, you had Pete. He broke the rookie home run record. What are you going to do about that? And then 18 and 19, or 18, you had Juan and Ronald. He probably wouldn't win that. And I mean, we've had some really, really, really impressive rookie classes the last few years.
Yeah. And with, I think more often than not, you do have a hitter, but if there is that one pitcher that is showing up at on a rookie level, then I feel like that guy just takes precedent, because we just don't see it as often.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen with Spencer Strider, because Spencer Strider, he's top 5 in the league in strikeouts as a rookie. He throws the smoke. He's got a 3.11 ERA. I mean, 138 strikeouts in the time that he's done it. He came out of the pen for just a little bit, so he hasn't had a full year of starts. But for a good ball club like the Braves, he's got a good lineup behind him. I don't see him falling off down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree. He has the best FIP among starters with over, I think it's either 6 or 7 games started. He has the best FIP among all pitchers in the time since he started.
Yeah.
And he's really impressed me. He has the highest strikeout percentage other than Edwin Diaz in the league, but Edwin Diaz doesn't qualify for it. So we'll say Spencer Strider has the highest one. A starting pitcher having a 35% strikeout rate is stupid, really. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's Jacob deGrom level stuff.
Yep, and it's good hitters, it's bad hitters, and it just, you always see guys get surprised by the zip on the fastball.
Oh yeah, they know it's coming, and they still miss it. They still swing through it, and they're still late. It's just, I think they look at him and don't see the same polished pitcher that you see in maybe Max Fried or a Charlie Morton, which I know Charlie hadn't been as great this year, but he's still very polished, very just, he knows what he's doing, Yeah. And I think that's probably what helps Spencer more than anything, is having those guys around. But looking at him and looking at Fried looks like a much more polished and mechanically sound pitcher than Strider does. And I think once Strider develops a third pitch and can make it a 15 to 20% pitch, he will be a very, 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 very good pitcher. I mean, he'll probably have 250 strikeouts every single year if he stays healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's definitely those two guys, the 1 and 2. The only other guy that I even want to talk about, and I don't think he has a chance of winning it, but he's passed the eye test once again, O'Neal Cruz. He's got the pop. He's a freak of nature. He's got the cannon over at shortstop. He's got the speed. There's not much that you can't lack about O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've got Nolan Gorman as my 3 just because he's been in the league a little longer, and he probably has a more realistic shot at making some sort of comeback to even attempt to catch these two than O'Neal Cruz does, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Manager of the year, I put Dave Roberts at the top. I know what the Dodgers are. We all know what the Dodgers are. I put him at the top, but honestly, I think, your number 1 guy in Buck Showalter, I think he has the best chance of actually winning it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give it to Dave Roberts every year, even though he's had one of the better records in the league almost every year for the past feels like 10 years.
And I like that. I like that about Manager of the Year. It's not all about, hey, you had the best record in baseball. Here you go.
Yeah. And because sometimes, Dave Roberts has been handed a few teams that are just about too good to lose.
Yeah.
And when you see a guy like Buck Showalter who has taken this Mets team who has struggled the past few years, even with the big names that it has, and he has somehow found a way to right that ship and get them headed in the direction that they thought they would be as soon as, Cohen got in there and started spending some money. Yeah. And, this could be, a big rivalry for the next, 5-10 years, however long that they're both competitive.
And I don't think you can argue either with the fact that the trade pieces that they brought in immediately started having success too. So that speaks to the atmosphere for sure that he's created in the clubhouse.
I knocked the Mets in our trade deadline grades video, just because Daniel Vogelback and Tyler Naquin are not big time pickups. They're not big name pickups. They're not something that a team's going to ask a lot for either. But they could be great platoon players. Tyler Naquin rakes against right-handed pitching, and so does Vogelback. And, maybe if Pete's got a day against a tough righty, like maybe like a Strider or something, you throw Vogelback in the game, give Pete a day off.
Yeah.
They're nice platoon guys to have, really.
My third guy was the Cards manager, Ollie Marmol. I think that, the Cardinals, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Cardinals were in the wild card game last year against the Dodgers, correct? You run against the buzzsaw of the Dodgers. You don't expect to see the Dodgers in a wild card game, but they've come back. They've come back stronger. They look like they're going to be the team that wins the division this year. I just don't think you can argue with the level of play they've had out of their star players. I feel like he's a guy that could be an outside shot of deserving it if Buck Showalter doesn't win, obviously.
I hear you. I had Snickers as the third place finisher in my eyes, just because he does make quite a few boneheaded moves in the bullpen from time to time, and it seems like he just goes on streaks of when he does it. Like it'll be like 4 straight games he just mismanages the bullpen. Then for like 2 weeks he's fine, and then for like 3 more days after that he's just like lost his mind for a few days and doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But he is a good manager. The guys love playing for him. As soon as he got here in 2017, Freddie and the guys that were still there then, they were like the energy just immediately changed. When he took the helm. So I love him for the Braves. Now, but I don't think that he has been the best manager this year by
no. Comeback player of the year. I'm just going to mention one name to kind of speed up the process here. I know you have a couple. Ronald Acuna Jr. For his ACL last year, comeback this year. Even if his numbers aren't where everybody expects them to be, he's still the spark plug guy that is just crazy. Like the extra innings the other day against the Red Sox. That insane slide.
Electric.
2-run lead. Like he does things like that you just can't help but be like, oh my gosh.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He is an exciting player, he's young, he's just like Fernando Tatis and, just all these young guys that bring that energy to your team that you want. And then when Ronald comes out of that lineup, you can see that energy's gone on that team.
Yeah, and not many guys come back from an ACL as quickly as he came back from it either.
Yeah, and that's why I talked to CJ some about it, like just his stats not being nowhere near where they were.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm gonna have to see a full 162 of him being not near as good as he was for me to think that he's just not going to be the superstar that he once was. Before the ACL turn.
Yeah. You want to just Silver Slugger real quick?
Yeah, we can run through the Silver Sluggers and then.
At catcher, I had Will Smith.
I did as well.
Yep, hard to argue. The guy, God, I just don't want to see the guy in the playoffs. Just to be honest.
I hear you. He wrecks the Braves, but then again, so does the whole Dodgers lineup.
Yeah. First base, we got Paul Goldschmidt. We've already talked about him. Second base, Ketel Marte.
I had Jeff McNeil just because Marte plays a little too much center field for me.
I like Jeff McNeil.
Yeah.
I love Jeff McNeil. He's a guy that he's one of the more consistent guys in the Mets lineup.
Yeah, and I mean he's he's one of those guys that's going to have high average, high on base. He might not hit you a ton of bombs, but he's a good guy to have either at the bottom feeding the top or at the top, and in front of you heavy hitters that are going to knock him in.
Third base Austin Riley. We've
here.
already talked about him. Shortstop Trey Turner.
I had Dansby. I think down the stretch that Dansby is gonna just continue to thrive like he has since the first few weeks of the year, and I think he's really gonna help push this team either to secure that top wild card spot or to the 5th straight division title.
Absolutely, I understand. I think you can make an argument for either guy. They're on the two teams that I feel like have the two scariest 9 hitters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like the Dodgers and the Braves have the scariest 9 hitters.
I agree with that probably. Yeah.
So, and you throw those guys in there, you can't argue with those guys.
Mm-mm.
You really can't, either one. As far as the outfield goes, I've got Mookie Betts. I think he's one of the more upper tier guys. Juan Soto, he's one of the more upper tier guys. And then as a guy that I think might could sneak in, he leads the National League in home runs, and that's Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah. He hasn't done much else other than hit home runs this year.
No. You send Kyle Schwarber up there, and if you get like CJ said the other day, you get a home run every 3 games, you're pretty happy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure why they have him, batting leadoff, but I would probably move him down to a 5 or 6 spot and try and let him get some RBIs so that his home runs aren't all solo home runs.
Yeah.
It's not like he has a 380 on base or something that he's just getting on base a ton, so he needs to lead off. But the Phillies are just the Phillies.
Who's another outfielder that you had? Just throwing another name out there.
I have Soto, Betts, and Schwarber as my 3 as well. But some other outfielders in the NL that I thought about were Ian Happ, Brian Reynolds, and goodness gracious, and Starlin Marte, I believe. Those were by my other 3.
And I think with Ian Happ and Brian Reynolds, I don't think we thought Brian Reynolds was going to get traded at the deadline. Like everybody wants him to, but I just don't think he was going to. But then I feel like Ian Happ goes to a better team. I feel like he maybe gets some more recognition and an opportunity at the Silver Slugger.
Probably, yeah.
It's hard to say. You don't want to discriminate on the bad teams or anything, but it is easier to get recognized on a good team.
Yeah, it is.
As far as DH, who do you have at DH?
I had Garrett Cooper at DH, but I mean the DH is just such a weak position in the NL right now, just because a lot of the DHs are still signed in the AL. And maybe in the next, probably 5 years from now, you'll see quite the spread of good DHs throughout the NL and AL.
I wish William Contreras had the at bats.
Yeah, I do as well. And also, I wish, for the Braves' sake, it helps that Harper is injured, but you don't ever wish for a player at Harper's level to be injured.
No.
Just because the game of baseball, the game of baseball needs players like that. And he would easily probably be the DH if he were still healthy.
Yep. Over on the AL side, MVP, I think everybody would say Aaron Judge at the top.
Yeah.
Leads the league in home runs, RBIs, OPS. He is as advertised. So,
yeah, he is. He's gonna get himself a payday. He bet on himself this past offseason, and I think it's gonna pay off for him. He's probably. He has a legitimate chance to break the American League home run record, to break the Yankees home run record.
Yeah,
and
it would be so weird seeing him in a different uniform. I just don't know if I could see him in a different uniform.
Yankee Stadium. Well, I know I could certainly see him in a different uniform. I could see him in a Braves uniform, sure. But I think that Yankee Stadium probably burns down if he breaks the Yankees and their American League home run record, and he isn't a Yankee next year.
Absolutely.
I think those fans literally just riot because they will be so mad at Steinbrenner for that. Because Aaron Judge is this generation's Jeter, kind of just their first, that super stud, these young kids whose dads were Jeter fans back in the day.
And he can play the glove too. He's not just a bat, And the next guy that we talk about and Yordan Alvarez, he's just a bat. You know,
he is just a bat, but his bat is so impressive.
Yeah,
It is. The guy just rakes.
Yeah, it's such a smooth motion. It's up there with guys like the lefty bats. When you think about guys like Yordan, you think about guys like Matt Olson, just those smooth lefty swings. And there's nobody that does it better than Yordan, honestly, on the left side of the plate. It's just it comes around and the ball is just going to jump off the bat every single time.
I mean, he's a huge guy. He's probably what, 6'4", 240? Your muscle probably.
He's humongous.
And he just, every time he touches the ball, it looks like he's going to hit it, 4 miles.
Yeah. I mean, those are clear cut 1 and 2 in my opinion.
I agree. Those are probably my clear cut 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah. And you talked about an extra guy before. Do you want to throw that extra name?
Jose Ramirez is my 3 guy. He might even sneak up to 3, because I think the Astros could do what they're doing without Yordan, but I don't think that the Indians could do what they're doing without J-Ram, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. He is the heart and soul of that team. They went, they locked him up with a long-term deal, got him to take a little bit of a hometown discount. There's not much not to like about J-Ram.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 5-tool player, he can hit for average, he can hit for power, he can steal bases, he can field. He is a great all-around player. And I remember back in the day, there were tons of rumors going around that Austin Riley was going to Cleveland for Jose Ramirez, and there would be other pieces included, I'm sure. But I'm glad we didn't make that trade now. But to be honest, I'm not sure that it would have been much different, just because they're both very, very elite third basemen.
Absolutely. I don't think you could be upset with either one of those guys over there.
Yeah.
Cy Young, I think we both can talk about the number 1 guy, Justin Verlander.
Yeah, Verlander. He's the clear cut number 1 for me, coming off of Tommy John, which is pretty impressive. Last night was his first start in 12 starts where he gave up more than 1 earned run. He gave up 3 earned runs over 6 innings. But he's a freak of nature. He's 39 years old and he's still the best pitcher in the AL and a top 5 pitcher in baseball. It's ridiculous.
There's nobody that induces outs the way that Justin Verlander can induce outs.
Him and Sandy, to me, it feels like they refuse to give up runs and they refuse to come out of games, because it seems like every time I look at them, they've both thrown 7 or 8 innings of 1 run or no run ball. They've just carved the team and just gave their team a win.
Yeah, and Justin Verlander leading the league in ERA, leading the league in wins. He's got a good offense behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a 20-win guy.
He could be, for sure.
I think so. I definitely think so. Other than Justin Verlander, you got to talk about who's been an absolute monster lately, and that's Dylan Cease.
Are you going Cease over McClanahan?
I'm going Cease over McClanahan at 2, just because, Cease, he's top 5 in ERA, top 5 in strikeouts, top 5 in wins on a White Sox team that hasn't been as good this year. And I feel like, at the beginning of the year, everybody was like, man, the White Sox, they've just got the pitching this year. Then you have a few injuries in the bullpen. You start asking your starters to go a little longer, and Cease has been a guy that has stepped up and done that for him. So,
the only reason I have Cease below McClanahan is because of how many batters he walks. Yes. He walks quite a few more batters than either McClanahan or Verlander, and I would like to see his whip get down to the level that Verlander and McClanahan's are at. Yeah. I mean, he's still, he's having a very, very, very good season, even with that. This guy's, 30 out of 30 managers want Dylan Cease on their team. He is that kind of guy. Last year, he really broke out. He finished 4th in the AL in strikeouts. And and now this year he's one up that. He's got a sub-2 ERA at the moment, and he's just carving. It seems like every start he goes seven innings, 1 run, 10 Ks. That seems what it's like every single time he goes out on the mound. He's great.
Yeah, and he's one of the main guys that is bringing the White Sox even into the conversation here. I mean, when you're winning every Cease start, it makes you feel pretty good when he goes out there. But like you said, McClanahan, he's top 5 in strikeouts ERA. Not much you can't say about the guy. He's a young guy still. Him and Cease both young guys, and completely contrasted with Verlander, who's an older guy.
Yeah.
So you see both ends of the spectrum. So
yeah.
I mean, it's good to see for baseball for sure.
Oh yeah.
We could talk about Rookie of the Year. I think we both have Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez should be the runaway favorite. I mean, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
He's got a 4 WAR. I mean,
he has a 4 WAR as a rookie. That's incredible. I mean, he's been pretty consistent ever since the first week he looked a little overmatched, but then after that he's just been insane. About 285 batting average, hitting a lot of homers, stealing a lot of bases. He was the fastest player ever to 15 homers and 20 stolen bags. That's an odd, cherry pick stat, yes, but it is.
I mean, you got to. That's what you're doing when you're picking an award too. Last time I checked, the dude had a 135 OPS plus. I mean,
that's that. I mean, when you're 35% above league average as a 21-year-old, you're impressive to me.
The next guy I feel like you have to talk about, Bobby Witt. He's another guy with an over 300 on base percentage.
Mm-hmm.
He's got decent pop. He's hit 15 home runs as of the other day. I don't know what he's hit as of the past 2 nights. I haven't added that in. And then he's got a 110 OPS plus on a team that is not as good as Julio Rodriguez's team.
Yeah, Bobby Witt doesn't have anything close to the same lineup around him as Julio has, but he's still been very, very impressive to me. And hopefully the Royals can start being competitive again soon, so that he doesn't end up as, like a Mike Trout or anything. It's a generational talent that ends up on a sucky team and never wins.
Yeah,
I
feel like those 2 guys are the clear cuts in that league, in my opinion. I know I wanted to mention just really, really quick, Jeremy Pena. He's got a 3.5 WAR. He's a guy. He's not quite at that 300 on base percentage. That's what hurts him.
Mm-hmm.
Just above the 100 OPS plus. But he has stepped in for Carlos Correa and been what the Astros needed. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a great, rookie replacement for Correa. I mean, a 3.5 WAR, that's outstanding for a rookie. That's outstanding for anybody, really, for a full season. He's only, 115 games in.
Yeah.
So.
And the last guy you wanted to mention?
Adley Rutschman. He's a guy that I'm very high on. I love Adley Rutschman. Since I think I saw a stat the other day, since July 1st, he has the second highest on base percentage in baseball behind Aaron Judge, and it was at like a 529 clip. If you're getting on base at a 529 clip for a month, you're a stud. The only thing that really hurts Adley for me is he doesn't have a chance to win Rookie of the Year, because I don't think that he can get the counting stats to match Julio or Bobby Witt.
No.
And I don't think he can get the bats to even have a chance to match those. Just because those 2 have been in the league since opening day, and Adley was injured at the beginning of the year and came up, in June.
Across both leagues, I think baseball is in such good hands with the young guys, though.
I agree.
Real quick, Manager of the Year. We'll try to speed through here. I don't think you have to talk about Aaron Boone. If the Yankees get it done, Aaron Boone's going to have it. I'll probably
agree with you on that.
Yeah, because we've been waiting for the Yankees to get it done this year. I think that maybe not so great lately.
They've got different vibes than they've had the past few years. The Yankees do. They feel more like they feel more dominant. They feel more like a World Series championship team than they have in the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 guys that I feel like are under the cuff a little bit more. I don't think Scott Service is. I think a lot of people might. There. So for the Mariners,
I think if you break a 21-year playoff drought, you got to get some votes. And right now he's in line to break that playoff drought. Yep. The Mariners are America's team. Everybody's rooting for the Mariners.
We are, because you can put the players on the field, but if you don't have the right guy leading the ship, you won't get it done.
That's right. I agree with that.
I did put another guy out there, undercard team, the Minnesota Twins. They're leading the division, but Rocco Baldelli, if you bring them back from the disappointment of last year, I feel like that warrants some, hey.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I had Dusty Baker. Baker at 3 for me.
Yeah.
The Astros, they have the best record in the AL now. So I feel like he's got to have some. I mean, I know that his
Yeah.
team is great, but you had to show some respect.
Yeah.
Best record in the league. It's at a 71-40 record. That's incredible. That's a great record. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, Dave Roberts and Dusty Baker. I feel like you're just in the conversation all the time.
Yeah, every year it feels like you're in the conversation.
Yep. Comeback Player of the Year. I think this one's one of the most clear-cut awards by far.
And I think it's also one of the most stacked awards classes you'll probably ever see for an award like Comeback Player of the Year. Yeah. Because my three guys, and there's probably a fourth or fifth guy in the AL that I didn't even think, just because I got my top three guys and didn't even look anymore. Yeah. I've got Justin Verlander at my 1, Byron Buxton at my 2, and Shane Bieber at my 3. 2 of those guys have won Cy Young since 2019. And Byron Buxton, I mean, if he could stay healthy, he probably would win at bare minimum a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove every single year.
Yeah, if Byron Buxton's a guy that if he can put the health together, he wins an MVP in the next 3 to 4 years.
I agree with that. He's one of my favorite players to watch when he's healthy. But one of the most unfortunate things is he rarely is healthy. He just he's just one of those guys that just has the injury bug, and it just stinks because he's so good when he's on the field.
Justin Verlander has just been, from taking his big break from baseball to get healthy and get right and get his arm right, Tommy John, to being what he has been this year, that the Astros needed him to be what he is too. So they've got the young guys in the rotation, but having Verlander back at the top is just great for them. So
I agree.
Silver
Sluggers. Yeah. All right.
Alejandro Kirk. I mean, when everybody puts them side by side, but when you have guys like Aaron Judge and Alejandro Kirk in the same league at the top of their game, I mean, at the top of their positions, it just shows you how beautiful baseball can be.
I saw the other day that Alejandro Kirk has the highest body mass index of any professional athlete ever. Because he's 5'9", 240.
I'm here for it.
Of pure fat. He is.
The Blue Jays need a spark plug guy like that.
Speaking of spark plug, at first base I have Vlad Jr. Who is the Toronto spark plug.
Absolutely. And I have Anthony Rizzo. And for everything that the Yankees thought they needed at first base, keeping Rizzo, and for him being great, I'm so happy for him. What a good story. You can't be unhappy with a guy like Anthony Rizzo. Yeah,
and I think Anthony Rizzo turned out to be what everyone expected from Joey Gallo. Low average, high on base, a lot of homers. And that's what Anthony Rizzo's done. Yeah. But that's probably, you weren't expecting the big ton of homers from Rizzo just because he's getting up there in age. Yep. But, I could see, a big payday for him this offseason because it was just a 1-year extension with New York. And, if you hit 40 home runs in a 1-year deal, you're probably going to get paid.
Under a minute. So real quick, Corey Seager, Altuve. Everybody has Altuve at second.
I've got Altuve.
I had Seager at shortstop. You had?
I had Xander.
I had Devers at third. You had?
Jose Ramirez.
And then my 3 outfielders were Buxton, Judge, and I had Teoscar.
Yeah, I had Buxton, Judge, and Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah. And then at DH, Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah. And I think you do need to shout out a couple guys throughout this.
I don't know if you got time. I don't know if you got time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
subscribe.
Yeah, like the video, subscribe. Leave a comment down below letting us know what you want to see in future podcasts. But